What is going on, all you cool cats and kittens? It's our first Horse Talk Live during a cattle retreat, as this week is our first cattle retreat, and it's been a pretty good time thus far. Got a good group of cowboys and cowgirls here working. From day one, we worked on balancing our horse and getting that good sit down Western back up and slide. Today we worked on our spins, we worked on our rollbacks, we worked on tracking a partner and cantering off forward, stopping, backing up, turning around, heading off another direction. All these little layers that are going to help tomorrow whenever we bring live steers into the situation. But at the moment, what we have is some videos to talk about. So we are going to hop on here if I can get the mouse going where I want, and we are going to check out some videos. From Miss Lori, just working on power of the circle around the bush. There is an exercise that we are working right now that we worked on day one of the cattle retreat that's called balancing, which is where we basically put that horse on a complete loose line and we work around a circle, just redirecting them until they're not leaning on us. And that really helps getting that horse more comfortable and easy so they don't feel like they constantly. What we're noticing is anytime a horse is leaning forward or leaning sideways, they have to speed up with everything that they try to do. And anytime that there's not somebody there holding them, they speed up. So we're doing basically power of the circle, but we're just guiding them where we want by taking our hands away from their neck and pointing them in that direction. But we're doing it without holding back. And it's been very eye opening seeing all the retreaters do it, seeing all the academy students do it, how balanced we can get a horse. And when a horse gets balanced, they really slow down nicely. Good job using your feet there. So we put the students in as steers and had the retreaters track the students back and forth. We realized that the youth didn't have that much stamina. All right, if we are putting heels on horses to back them up, we really don't want to give them 1 centimeter forward. Be ready to catch that horse 1 centimeter forward and get them backing up. We definitely don't want to keep hopping and bobbing forward. There you go. Nice. That was good. When you're going to ask that horse to back up, make sure you extend your feet forward so that horse gets the opportunity to move away from your feet before your heels come back to them. Nice. Good, good. Hey, hey, from Oklahoma, North Carolina in the house, Alabama, Maine, Missouri. I think one of the reasons that it doesn't make a lot of sense to her whenever you kick your legs off is that you ride in such a forward position. When you were here at the retreat, you were sitting more upright and your legs were further back. So then when you kicked your feet off, it made sense. Since you're sitting so far back and your feet are forward so much, then you kicking your feet off makes a difference. Got a raspberry on her nose. Looks like a Flat halter was left on too tight. Maybe whenever she was growing.
Hi, Michael. This is Robin.
Hey, Robin. What are we looking at?
So there was a little audio with this video that must have lost. But yeah, we adopted this horse from a rescue.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we were just asking about the scar on her nose, wondering if that might. She's pretty spassy. So we were just wondering if the knots on the halter would bother her because of the scar tissue on her nose, or if you'd found anything like that. If you'd come across that kind of thing.
Gotcha. No, with it completely healed up like that, you just keep doing work. The whole idea is that she doesn't get touched there because she does what you want. So it's not like you're going to hang off of it. If it was going to be a situation where we were going to create a contact rein and we were going to drive there, right there, don't let David get pulled. Whenever you start getting drugs, start stepping into her. There you go. So no, with it all healed up like that, those knots aren't going to bother because you're not trying to hold on to them. You're trying to touch them and release, and have that horse want to be away from that. Where it runs into an issue, let's say you have a gaited horse and you have a tongue that's, sawed in half or something like that from a rescue horse, that could be a problem because you need that contact rein. If we were going to get her and use that halter to make an English style riding system where we're going to hold on her face, then yes, that could be a problem. But the fact that we're just going to touch her and let her go, hopefully, if anything, it'll be a little bit more incentive for her to kind of look the way that we want her to go. Make sure in those moments that we step back, that we step forward and into her. Don't let her play tug of war with you. There we go. You see what I mean? Like she's going to get so loose here on our hands that she's going to be looking inward. Bring those two hands closer together and make sure that your belly button is pointing at her belly and you're going to be looking right at her. There we go. Step in, step in, step in. Don't get pulled on. Step in, step in. Don't get pulled on. Step in. On the horses that suck back away from you, I don't want you to hold them. I want you to step to them. So they think stepping back doesn't get them a release from the crop. Whenever they back up like that, right there, she's getting a release from that crop momentarily while our hand is out here and they're sitting back. So we want to step into them. So the moment they go back away from us, there we go. That looks a lot better. Already one day later, looking a lot better. Look at the line from his face to his hand to the horse's face. That line right there, he's looking right at her face. That gives him just enough bubble for him to feel safe, but also that tells her where he wants her attention. You don't even have to look at your crop. The crop is parallel with the horse's body, and if that horse's feet stop moving, the crop will touch her. Huge difference from one to the next. Very good job.
Okay, so she cuts the circle off and kind of comes into your space there. She turns. Do you use the crop in that situation to kind of tap her on her shoulder? Or
if the feet stop, the crop starts. If she steps into your space, that hand just comes closer to her face. If you use those two things together, it'll smoothen out by itself. But just from one day to the next, that's a heck of a lot smoother. That's 1,000% improvement there.
Well, we just had her out today, and she's definitely better to the right than the left. So the left, we're still getting drugged backwards and running backwards.
Right. So that backwards, you just lay chase. Don't even give her a second to pull on you. Say, oh, you don't. Okay.
That was what David wanted me to ask you. Yeah, because he's like, should I run at her more and harder and make her feet move, or
because this is a release. Her sucking back here is a release if she doesn't want you on that side. So if you just lay chase to her, I usually focus on the flank when I'm laying chase, and I go straight towards them. I love ponies.
Yeah, I didn't realize he'd try to bite me while he was trotting. I figured he'd do that more when he was slowing down, but
gotcha.
He tries.
So gather up a little bit more left rein and put that hand on his neck so he doesn't have enough rein to snake that face all the way around.
Okay.
Then another thing you could do, a lot of times people say, oh, I'll kick him in the mouth, do this, do that. One thing you can do is disengage him and pick his face up past your leg and disengage him there. Whenever he throws a bite, work on something that would benefit you anyway by moving that butt around. And I'll grab their face and pull it around where their mouth passes my leg. So it's here. Let's see if I can get this for the camera right. It's here, and I'll pull it past my leg and disengage them. And they say, oh, man, every time I throw a bite, I get disengaged up and high, and very quickly they stop wanting to. Like, we got to do something to let him know that that's not okay.
Yeah.
So disengage him up real high and real over past your leg. Kick your leg forward and bring his head back. You do that a few times in a meaningful way, he won't think that it behooves him.
Good.
So
this is Gamble. We've had him under saddle for about 2 weeks now, and we are having issues getting him to pick up his right lead consistently. He does his left lead really well, but he really doesn't like that right lead, and we're just looking for some advice to get him picking that right lead up when he's supposed to. Well, there he has it. Yes.
He did get it again in a minute, though.
So we've been basically doing the power of the circle with him like this, but he'll still pick up that left lead instead of the right lead, except for this time. Now that we're videoing him, he probably won't pick up the left lead up at all. Oh, nope, there he's got the wrong one.
Okay, so for me, one thing I would like
So yeah, just looking for some advice on how to fix this.
One thing I would like to see is whenever we ask for this lead, we're in the first corner of the arena, like over there, asking for it. And I would like to see you up out of the seat, forward and right, with your right hand up to the right. So you're looking forward to the right, you're stepped off, your right leg is off of him, and your hand, everything about you is forward and right, versus sitting flat and pointing forward. A lot of times we can get in the way of a young horse by kind of sitting on them and driving forward.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Because I started a few times in the corner and he still picked it up wrong. And I know, like I said, he's only under saddle 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's also
first and foremost, a horse 2 weeks under saddle, I'm not picking on it at all, right? So we're just doing things at this point that could just suggest him. The next thing is when he gets on that wrong lead, just keep going. Don't shut him down. Don't let it affect your mentee. Like, keep him going. Okay, you want to be on the wrong lead? So this is something that I see. This is something I see pretty often. Is people are on a young horse and they pick up a wrong lead. It really messes them up mentally. Just keep that joker going. Say, keep circle here, circle there, make your figure eights. The whole arena, one cone, the next cone, the whole arena. Keep driving him, keep using him. When he swaps because it's too hard because you're asking for gears, he'll say, oh, man, this not being on the proper lead sure is nice. That's one. Two, one of the things that I've been working on my trainers a lot is, especially on the young horses. Young horses make us want to sit flat because we know they're green and it could be a problem. The problem is we sit flat and canter finished reiners, Western pleasure horses, cutters, stuff that we're slowing down. Everything that we want them to go faster, barrel horses, rope horses, pole bending horses, goat tying horses, we get up off their back and we get some yonder. Well, at this stage of your horse's training, walk, trot, canter is your 3 speeds. Later on, each of those gears have different speeds in them, and you could be cantering slow and you could be trotting fast. But right now, you got your walk, then you pick up speed, and that's a trot, and you pick up speed, that's a canter. So whenever we're cantering those young green horses, we're rocking forward over our pelvis and stacking our weight over our feet, where from our shoulders through our knees and feet are in line because most of our weight is in our stirrups. So we're completely off their back. And then if we're turning right like you are there, we're looking right and stepping right. Our right foot kind of comes out from under us so that our head and our weight don't get past our foot because that could be uncomfortable. So our foot is coming out. If you put those things together and then you hold the canter for a long time, I mean, for 5 minutes straight, just give that joker 10 laps of that little arena. Every now and then, if you feel like you're going too fast and you're uncomfortable, turn it into a circle. Don't hold him back. Turn it into a circle. If you feel like he's being lazy and lethargic, drive your hands towards his ears and be looking further ahead. If you do those 2 things, he'll not only find it without you finding frustration, but he'll want to keep the proper lead because it's the only way to feel comfort. But a lot of it, again, is I know young green horse, we want to sit deep, we want to sit down. But the more I study, I hate to use a big word like biomechanics, body control of people. Like one thing is to have it in my mind, and then whenever I see other people doing it, say, okay, what's the separator here? Why are we not getting the same results? As I start breaking down my trainers, that's what's happening is they'll be kissing and kicking to go faster forward, but their weight will be dragging down on the horse. And that works if you're on a finished horse that will make up for it and go anyway. But if you're on a young green horse, a lot of those horses will break down to a trot. Just like how many of you out there have a horse that you'll go and you'll be cantering, but whenever you circle, they break into a trot? Because a lot of times we'll be cantering forward, but whenever we go to turn in the canter and make a circle in the canter, we sit down and our hands come back to us, they break into a trot. Now we're upset they broke into it. Why can't this horse hold the canter through the turn? Well, because through that turn, we still need to be forward and out here turning them to keep that forward. If you do that, that should fix it for you.
I also started him in a bit today. Would that be any problem, or you think just keep doing everything
the same way on a completely ridiculous loose rein? Your reins on a 2-week horse are just for left or right. Treat your bit like a lead rope, where your hands are by his neck when you go straight. If you need to go inward, point the hand inward. If you're going inward and fast, point inward and forward. If you're going inward and you want to slow him down, you point inward and back towards your hip. But it's just one rein inward. If he's drifting inward and you want him to go outward, look outward and point the outside rein. And he's going to start following your hands wherever you're pointing. And he's going to get used to being on a ridiculous loose rein. And before you even get to a place where you have to hold that horse back, the horse will become so accustomed to following you there, to listening to your body position. I just did a video where we were talking about your 3 personas and how when I'm walking on a cold start, I'm Eeyore. Okay, we're walking. Whenever I go to trot off a horse, I'm like Winnie the Pooh with some honey. I got a little excitement about me. And when I go to canter, I'm like Tigger. Yeah, let's go. The second I go from Tigger to Winnie the Pooh, those horses break down to a trot. And the second that I go from Winnie the Pooh to Eeyore, those horses just break down to a walk or a stop for me. If I have it like that on a ridiculously loose rein, whenever those horses get a little bit more advanced and they can carry a rein, like there's just no confusion at all. And you have such a gift by having a green horse that is a clean slate that you can really hammer this home right now. So what that entails is you being on a ridiculously loose rein. I see you already have your cones out. You trust your circle. He cannot run away with you because you're on a loose rein, because all you'll do is if he goes too fast, you'll put him in a smaller circle. If he's too slow and being lazy, drive him in a bigger circle. Think about it like lunging from the saddle. The only thing that the horse industry agrees on is lunging. Everything else, there's disagreements. There's, separation, segregation, breedisms. If you're English and I'm Western, we can't talk. If you have gaited horses and I have Arabians, we can't talk. The only thing everybody agrees on is everybody has some form of lunging, because the simplicity of it, go this direction and go forward. It's that simple. If you are lunging a horse and you want them to canter and go fast, where are they at as far as the lead rope or the round pin? As far away as you can get. If they're going fast and you want them to slow down, what do you start doing? One rein, which is your lead rope, you start drawing them into a smaller circle until they slow down to the walk that you want. Just do the same thing under saddle. And then when you are in the canter, hold them a little longer now that you're a couple weeks in, and you'll get them doing what you want.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, let's see what Miss Judy has.
With Ginger. So we'll see how we do.
Doing a little long line. I love me some long liner.
Ginger's not great at backing. She's definitely not soft. Good girl, Ginge. Good girl. Wow.
I like how she has the stirrups tied together. She's hooked to her halter. She's getting that back up. Every time his feet moves backward, she's giving a release, which is really nice. Hey, hey, in New Mexico and Wyoming, PA, Starkville in the house, Georgia. Valley, Alabama. Looking good, Miss Judy. I was just about to say that. Whenever you try to change directions, get more, Ben. Like walk up more beside them because that obvious change of direction is easier for them than subtle changes of direction. There we go. The more you walk towards her face, the more you walk out to the side, the more that rein wraps around her butt and the easier it is to turn.
Girl, this is going to be a game changer for her, I think. Because I don't get a lot of softness out of her.
So it just crossed along here. I wish she was this soft under saddle. It has to start from somewhere. If you can get on the ground and connect the dots like that, it all connects. It's all connected. So many times we are so much clearer on the ground because our body's not on their back conflicting our conversation. We don't realize how much our body tells them something contrary to what our hands are saying. So a lot of times if we can connect the dots mentally on the ground and then hop on in the saddle and be very cautious and aware of what our body is asking, we can really make huge differences. We did a lot of balancing and body control of the rider today at the cattle retreat and yesterday at the cattle retreat. And we started becoming hyper aware of what we can do when we start getting control of our own bodies. Before we control a horse's body, it's important that we control our own. So that's why a lot of times you'll see great results, quicker results long lining than in the saddle. When doing the long lines, how can you push them past or through something scary when they are trying to turn and spook? Well, turn and spook is not so problematic because when they turn, you can stop the turn with the rein. So if they turn left, you can lock down on the right rein. Whenever they turn right, you can lock down on the left rein. Where you run into trouble going over obstacles in the long lines is when they come straight back to you, in which case you really need to sidestep, let them pass you, and then 180 them away from you, roll them back and send them back to it. I don't suggest too much long lining over obstacles until that horse really preschools well over those obstacles. And for those of you who don't know what preschooling is, that's when you free lunge them over obstacles in a round pen or something like that. But if that horse is going to turn and spook, you treat it just like riding, where you disengage them and face up. The awesome thing, I really wasn't a fan of long lining because I wanted to ride everything right away. And yeah, I'm a colt starter. I can long line. I don't need a long line. I'll just hop on and ride. As I've become wiser or more elder in my years, I have learned to love long lining. It started with horses that were so mean or so nasty that I knew I couldn't ride them, like I physically wasn't capable of riding. And I would systematically pick them apart with the long lines until I felt comfortable hopping on their back. Well, then once I saw the results that I was getting with my long lines on the monsters, then I started trying them on normal horses, and what do you know? Worked on them too. So that's how I designed our long lining program. So if you're at home and you don't feel like, hey, I'm a competitive colt starter, but you have a horse to start, well, you can just long line them until they get so freaking broke that you can walk, trot, canter them, cross over obstacles, stop them, back them, turn them around. You even get a horse pivoting and backing. When a horse can spook or get uncomfortable in long lines and they wouldn't dare pull on the reins, that's when you should feel pretty confident to ride that horse. When they get uncomfortable or they get goosed or anything happens and they will not run into your reins, they will not run away with you. under saddle. He goes over them fine on the lunge, but when under saddle, he panics and spooks. I was thinking long lines would build his confidence in himself. Sure, Miss Telsley, you can do it like that. Miss Teeley, you can do long lines over it. I would do it in a round pin or a small pin so that you build your confidence in the long lines and you just redirect them back into it and put so many things out in the round pin that him turning around isn't going to get him away from the scary thing. There's going to be another one here and another one there, and just build his confidence like that. This is my plan with Sal since he's only 8 months old. Absolutely. And you can long line freaking early. But remember, we don't ride horses early just because of the weight factor while they're still growing. But you can long line and have that horse given the pressure and have that horse soft and turning and stopping and being containable and walk trot cantering ridiculously early on. All right, so remember for first grade, you're gonna have to drive that horse forward. So before you can ask that horse to circle around you, you have to pop with the inside rein and drive forward. So she said, I saw in the video there, it said, I'm looking for a little first grade, meaning I'm looking for an inside circle as we're going forward. In that case, you're going to drive forward. Your popping hand is your inside hand because that's the loose one. You can't pop with your outside hand because that will make them want to roll away. So you pull them inward, pop with the hand, step towards their flank, and you'll get till you got a really small circle to the inside. If you are long lining a horse and you don't feel comfortable behind them, that's not your riding horse right there. When I have the trainers, the students here working, I ask them to long line for me. If they look uncomfortable behind them or in close beside them, I say, why are you going to ride that horse? If that horse gives you the heebie-jeebies to be close up behind it, do you know how close up behind it you're going to be when you're on his back? So as you start getting more comfortable, you see that horse relax and get easy with you back there. It sees you behind it. In the beginning, when they see you behind them, it makes them goose and they want to blast off. And you disengage them and do it again and disengage them and do it again and disengage them and do it again. And they, okay, you're behind me. And they start becoming more and more. The word I like to use is containable. This is as simple as it gets. If you can contain that horse easily with two hands, whenever they get scared, spooked, mad, sad, in heat, the wind blows, it's cold, it's hot, there's whatever their excuse is, then they're going to be easy to ride. If you can't contain them on the ground, if they will run into you or away from you on the ground and you can't contain them, then don't get on their back because you're not going to magically contain them under saddle. So if that horse, long lines are a great way to see that. If they get a little spooked or they get a little going fast and then you can't stop them and they drag you around, they're going to do the same thing under saddle. So you can already start getting a feel for what your horse does when it's uncomfortable. And the two things that make a horse's training fall apart is fear and fast. If you scare the bejesus out of a horse and they take those lines from you, don't ride that horse. Not until you fix it, because they're telling you, hey, when I get a little scared, there's no containment. You can't hold me. The next thing, if you get to going fast, you have the horse cantering on some long lines and they're going around and you say, whoa, 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 whoa. And they will not shut down because their brain's saying, hey, we're going too fast to stop. So it's just going to keep going. Don't ride that horse until you fix that, because if that horse gets going a little bit too fast, the brakes will go out. You don't want to ride on a horse that the brakes have gone out. It's not a lot of fun. Believe me, take it from me. Well, guys, I think I've answered all the questions that are on here. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Tomorrow, we are going to do some boxing drills, which is like reining cow horse on the steers, which is, I like it. It's a really good time. You get one steer in the arena, and you are going to come out, put it on the fence. You're going to drive it down the fence, cut in front of it, roll it back the other way, chase it down the fence, cut in front of it, roll it the other way. Once you do that a couple times and you know you can steer the steer, then you're going to bring it out into the middle of the arena and you have to turn it for a full loop in each direction. and that's how you get your time. So it'll be really cool to see folks giving that a go. For a lot of these folks, this will be the fastest that they've ever rode their horse, and it'll be the fastest they've ever rode their horse doing something. It's going to be very interesting. I'm very excited to see it. Over the past 2 days, we have really worked on their seat, on them getting up over their stirrups where they are more and more comfortable going fast and with those changes of direction. So hopefully we have put enough steps in to get us to a place where everybody's going to be able to ride fast, stop, turn, ride fast, stop, turn. And that's what we'll get. Well, guys, I hope y'all have a great night, and I'll see you on the next edition of Horse Talk Live. Bye.